Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and upgrading the Enduring Enchantments Commander precon from the Commander Master Set that was released in August of 2023. Before I get to today's video, I want to first take a moment to let you know that if you'd like to support my channel, you can do so in quite a few ways. The easiest ways are by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, sharing my content out on your socials, and or by watching some of my many other videos. Additionally, if you're interested in other ways that you can help support my channel monetarily, please read the description of this video, and there you will find a myriad of options for what you can do to help me keep this channel going. Anything that you can do to help support my small channel is greatly appreciated, and I thank you for it. Now let's get started with today's video. This video will be the unboxing of the Enduring Enchantments precon, and then tomorrow I will give you the upgrade guide. Recently, I became a huge fan of enchantment-based commander decks ever since I had a custom order for a Siona deck centered around this theme, so I'm pretty excited to go over this deck. This precon is a 3-color deck that suggests using Anikthea, Hand of Erebos as the commander, so let me tell you about Anikthea first, and then I'll show you everything that's included in the box. Anikthea is 1 white, 1 black, 1 green, and 2 generic mana to cast for a 4/4 legendary enchantment creature demigod with menace and 2 other abilities centered around enchantments. The first ability states that other enchantment creatures you control have menace, and the second ability states that whenever Anikthea enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard and create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black zombie creature in addition to its other types. I recently played against this deck myself while teaching a friend who hasn't played in a couple of decades, and honestly, it looks like a lot of fun. Being able to get multiple uses of a card in Commander is quite intriguing, and it can get quite annoying having to deal with a lot of the cards multiple times. One thing that I want to suggest highly though when using this deck is please make sure to find a way to represent anything that Anikthea brings back into play with a proper token. Since my friend hadn't played in decades, he did not know what each card in the deck did. When it came time to exile a card with Anikthea's ability, he had to use the card itself and ended up putting it back into his graveyard if it died, causing him to try and use Anikthea's ability on it again later when it should have been in exile. I'm not sure how you'll do this since not every card in the deck has a token for it, but they do have blank token cards you can use. It's a lot of writing unfortunately, but it's important that you do something to represent the cards correctly so you don't accidentally cheat during the course of a game. So now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to it finally and see what's in the box. Here's what the box looks like when you first buy it. It has Anikthea on the front, it's Enduring Enchantments on the outside, or on the edge, and then the 3 colors, white, black, and green. The back of it just has always be enchanting. I guess that makes sense. So let's just open her up and take a look. Get the ripcord and pull everything out and see what comes inside. It's been a while since I've done a regular one of these, and these are a little older, but we'll go through everything. All right, so the outside has this +1/+1 counters on both sides, and then on top, and then finally we're back to these, which makes sense because these are great dividers. So that's nice. Here's the box, what it looks like. We've got the sample booster pack. We have the insert, which has usually just a little bit about the deck. And then on the other side, it usually has the extra commander rules, and then a playing the deck spot. But we're not here for that. That's just little extras that don't mean anything. There's the divider. Here's the life wheel. It is again generic. I like that they're doing that because you don't know if you're going to be playing the same deck with the same life wheel, so that's nice. And then the 2 things that we're here for. Actually, technically the 1 thing, but this one's always nice, especially with Commander Masters. So let's open that. So let's see what actually comes inside a sample booster pack of Commander Masters. All right, let's see. Let me zoom the right way. All right, first one, Undergrowth Stadium. It's always nice. I really do like getting, especially lands. I really like getting lands. And then Kodama's Reach in foil, borderless. So, monetarily speaking, I don't know how well I did, but as far as usefulness, both cards are quite useful, especially since I do like Slimefoot, so an Undergrowth Stadium will probably go in Slimefoot. So that's the sample pack. Now here's the deck. Let's take the cellophane wrap off, split the deck in half to make it easier to wield because they're a little slippery when they're brand new, and go over what's in the deck. So I already explained to you what Anikthea does, so I'm going to skip that, and we're going to move on to the next card, which I believe is the secondary commander, and that is Narrow Fable Singer. So green, white, black, and 1 for a 3/3. Has lifelink. Whenever you sacrifice an enchantment, you draw a card, and whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control resolves, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, or X is that saga's mana value. Moving on to the rest of the deck. Path to Exile for good removal. Extinguish All Hope. This is a board wipe for all non-enchantment creatures, so that's not horrible. Kodama's Reach. Didn't I just get that? Hold on, what was the sample pack? Yeah, that's what I got out of the sample pack, so cool. Arcane Signet. Soul Ring. Ash Barrens. You can cycle it away to go get a basic land. Command Tower. Cast Out. Exile is a non-land permanent of your opponent controls. Alright, the Song of Night and Day. So it's going to have a bunch of sagas in it. Omen of the Sun. Spirited Companion. The Eldest Reborn. I wonder if the other black one's in here, saga-wise. Mind Rack Harpy. So 3/2 flyer. It's an enchantment creature. I believe everything here is going to be an enchantment of some sort. Minus the mana rocks, of course. The Binding of the Titans. Destiny Spinner. Really do like Destiny Spinner. Farseek, so good ramp so far. The actual ramp, not just mana rocks. Font of Fertility. Lets you go get basic land and put it into play. Tapped. Greater Tanuki. I use this for a lot of my budget decks where I want to add actual ramp for green. This goes and gets a land and puts it onto the battlefield tapped for you. Colney Heart Expedition. Nessian Wanderer. So not an enchantment, but has constellation. So whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield, something happens. So for this one, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, and you may reveal a land card from among them, put it into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's not an enchantment itself, but it does have synergy with the enchantments. Omen of the Hunt. Rampant Growth. Binding of the Old Gods. Jukai Naturalist, so 2 to cast 2/2, that lets your enchantment spells cost 1 less to cast. Nyx Weaver. Satyr Enchanter, this is good because it lets you draw cards every time you cast an enchantment spell. Golgari Rot Farm. Persian Verge. Battle at the Hell Vault. Boon of the Spirit Realm. Also Constellation, but it's an enchantment that has it, so it's kind of double dipping. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a blessing counter on it, and then creatures you control get +1/+1 for each blessing counter on it. So that's pretty cool. Undo Spirit Dancer. Cacophony Unleashed. It's a little expensive, but I'll allow it. Demon of Fate's Design. Ghoulish Impetus. Oops, skipped one. Composer of Spring. I don't recognize this one. So it's a 2 to cast 1/3 Satyr Bard. Has Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, and if you control 6 or more enchantments, instead you may put a creature or a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. That's actually not bad, especially at 2 to cast. Nyxborn Behemoth. Archon of the Sun's Grace. It has flying and lifelink itself, and then Constellation, so whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. I actually used this on an arena deck that I put together that's kind of similar. It's an enchantment-based deck. It's not the same colors. It's only white-green, but it works. Felidar Retreat, really good for landfall decks, and then it creates creature tokens for you. Grasp of Fate for some removal. Heliod, God of the Sun, really good god. It's one of the better gods. Mesa Enchantress for card draw. Sigil of the Empty Throne creates 4/4 flying white angel creature tokens for you whenever you cast an enchantment. Starfield Mystic. Enchantment spells cost 1 less to cast, which is always really nice. And then whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Starfield of Nyx. Cunning Rhetoric. So 3 to cast enchantment whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more of your planeswalkers you control. Exile the top card of that player's library, and you may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type may be spent to cast it. Okay. Doomwaker Giant. Dreadhorde Invasion. Would have been nice if they had put maybe the one that creates fairies in here, but whatever. Erebos Bleak-Hearted. Abundance, one of my favorite OG cards. I like putting that with another card to draw basically any card you want. Arasta of the Endless Web. Courser of Krufix. Another one of my favorite cards recently, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Alright, that was the first half. Next half, Eidolon of Blossoms. I had a whole bunch of these in foil for the longest time from one of the promos when I used to run a store. I used to make decks with this because it's really that good. Enchantress's Presence. It's an enchantment that lets you draw cards whenever you cast an enchantment spell. Herald of the Pantheon. Another enchantment cost reduction spell. The Binding of Dominaria. Sanctum Weaver. Sandworm Convergence. I actually really like this card. It helps protect against flying and creates big-ass worm tokens for you. Citizen Champion. Verdoran Enchantress. Nice. That's very nice. Battle for Predacard. Calyx Destiny's Hand. Speaking of Calyx, I'm in the hunt for the actual creature version of this from March of the Machine Aftermath. So if anybody has one, please contact me. Culling Ritual. Mirari's Wake. Sithis, Harvest Hand. That's a really good reprint. Canopy Vista. Let's see what they did with the lands here. Canopy Vista. Exotic Orchard. Fortified Village. Necroblossom Snarl. So it's all the basic, like, budget versions of dual lands. Sungrass Prairie. Temple of Malady, which I wish they would not print temples anymore. Ugh, these temples are killing me. Orzhov Basilica. I wonder how many bounce lands there are. Sandstep Citadel for the 3-color. Tri-land that's not a Triome. Selesnya Sanctuary, so a bounce land. Ooh, Tainted Field. That's a good one. And Tainted Wood. Okay. I think the rest of it's going to just be basic lands. And it looks like it is. And then, of course, we've got the thick version of the Commander. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker than the rest. You can actually, like, bend it. It doesn't really go. That's so you don't shuffle it into your library. And then, of course, we have the tokens. So copy tokens on the front side here. Clerics, Elf Warrior, Human Warrior, and Worm. And then on the other side is Spider tokens, I guess for Arasta, Zombie Army, Cleric, Cat Beast, Angel, Pegasus, Abyssin. Bird token, Human Soldiers, and of course your turn, how to do your turn. And that, my friends, is what was in the Enduring Enchantments Commander Masters Precon. This deck is chock full of enchantment goodness and looks like a lot of fun to play. I may be biased given my recently newfound love for this theme, but after having seen it in action, coupled with my friends' excitement while playing it, I believe I'm right. As is always the case though, none of the WotC precons are perfect, and while some may be better than others, they all can use a little sprucing up. So, I will once again be releasing an upgrade guide for this deck tomorrow. As for this video, that's all I've got for you, so thanks for watching. If you're looking for more of my content to watch, please browse my playlists, as I'm sure you'll find a whole lot more that you'll like, and then please be sure to come back tomorrow for the upgrade guide. Have a nice day, and I hope to see you again real soon.